invited me to be a lecturer for the Tombaugh Club meeting. And I checked the list of previous lecturers, and it's an impressive list of people and a lot of interesting subjects. I'm honored to have the opportunity to be a presenter and be added to the list of the Tombaugh lecture series. So I'm going to dive into the partial phase phenomena now. And these are all the things that are related to the sun being slowly covered by the moon. And some are unique to eclipses. So now, again, more thermodynamics. A really interesting thing about eclipses, but like the eclipse breeze, requires the proper conditions at your observing position, is the formation and dissipation of convective clouds. So during the day, when the sun is rising, the sun delivers more and more energy to the ground. And as the more and more energy gets delivered to the ground, again, you start to develop these rising warm eddies, which are balanced with falling cool eddies. And when the rising warm eddies get up to the boundary layer, they condense and they make little fluffy white clouds. Now, we're not talking about dense clouds with gray bottoms or the early stages of rain clouds. We're talking about those summer fluffy clouds that are all white and very light. Convective clouds are said to have roots to the ground. And what that means is they rely on the energy from the ground. They rely on those moist thermals to deliver the moisture to them to condense at the boundary level. So again, during an eclipse, during the partial phases, the energy to the ground is being decreased. So there becomes a point in time where these eddies shut down. The convective clouds no longer have the moisture they need to develop, and they evaporate. So during an eclipse, you can actually see the dissipation or the evaporation of light convective clouds. And we saw this great in 2017. This left picture is us arriving at our eclipse site about 5 hours before C1. This picture is about 4 hours before C1, and you see there's not a cloud in the sky. These pictures are to the southeast, the south, and the southwest at about 2 hours before C1. We were on a little hill, on a little knoll, and down in the south was this valley, obviously with more moisture. So the radiant energy was creating convective clouds to our south, just as you would think would happen with the thermodynamics. But by 15 minutes before totality, those clouds had evaporated, and we watched them actually evaporate between 20 and 25 or 30 minutes before totality. They just started to go away. Now, you're not going to get away with this if you have big, heavy white clouds with gray bottoms. They have too much moisture to dissipate, and they're not necessarily linked to the ground like convective clouds. So big clouds with gray bottoms could ruin your day. I mean, they could move in front of the eclipse during totality, but it's fascinating, if your conditions are right, to see those light convective clouds fade away. Now, I live next to Marshall Space Flight Center, so I've gotten to meet and work with a lot of NASA people. University of Alabama in Huntsville is there with a lot of great, intelligent people who I've met. We have a National Weather Service in Huntsville, and out of the National Weather Service, we have a lab called SWIRL. They have amazing data in SWIRL, and I saw a presentation that blew me away when I saw it for the first time. They have a machine called a mobile Doppler LiDAR machine, and this is data from the 2017 eclipse just outside of Hopkinsville. And what this shows, these red slashes are rising thermal eddies, and the blue lines are falling cooler eddies. So this is a graphical representation of what is invisible to you at your site, but what is happening to cause the convective clouds. And look at what happened between 50% obscuration and totality. It shows the decrease of radiant energy delivered to the ground, decreasing the eddies. And look what happened after totality, up to 50% obscuration. There was a huge delay in the time it took for the energy to be re-delivered to the Earth and repopulate the eddies to make convective clouds. So just a fascinating piece of data.